Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of the Custom Apparel Startups Podcast. My name is Mark Stevenson from ColDesi.
And this is Mark Vila from Coleman & Company. And today we're going to talk about your most costly mistake.
Yes.
So the biggest mistake that you can make in your business and what 20 years of observation has taught us, what we've observed from having 20 years of experience in the business.
Yeah, it's this institutional memory that we get to draw on from ColDesi and Panagrams and Coleman & Company and all the people that we've talked to help get started in the custom apparel business, as well as the businesses that both of us have started in the past. And I think that this is probably one of the, I say this a lot.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
probably one of the more valuable episodes if you actually do it.
Yeah, okay. I can't agree with you anymore on how valuable it is. So I figure I'll go with a little tease into it.
Okay.
And then go from there.
Okay.
So what you go to like IKEA or Walmart or something like that, and you buy a piece of furniture. And you take it out of the box and you look at all the pieces and I got this. Yeah. So you start putting it together, you get maybe 19 pieces in, and then you realize that this one piece should have been put in 17 steps ago.
Yes.
So you have to disassemble the entire thing or attempt to jam it in and break it.
That's not what happens to me. What happens to me is I will inevitably put in one shelf upside down. That happens every single time.
Yeah. So why is that? It's because you didn't read the manual.
Yes.
You didn't read the instructions. You didn't follow the proper training techniques on how to put together this piece of furniture. And you think you're not smart enough to do it on your own, but everything was designed to go in a certain order. When they built this and they disassembled it, they said the way to put it together is this way. Yeah. And if you put it together the wrong way, it's going to end up, now you hate IKEA. And you hate Walmart, and this piece of furniture just stinks. I hate it, and now it's crooked, and it's a piece of garbage, and I shouldn't have ever bought it from there.
Yeah.
And your experience was destroyed, and really a bit at your own fault.
That sounds so much like some of the first tech support phone calls that we get.
Yeah.
At ColDesi is somebody gets their equipment, and they get it on a Thursday. And they set it up and start trying to work with it. And by Tuesday morning, they're on the phone saying all of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, this thing is terrible. It's a piece of crap. It doesn't work. It's too expensive. I wasted all this stuff. That is, and that's really the completely self-serving motivation why I wanted to do this particular topic.
Yeah, and I, again, I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
I'm just going to agree with everything you say today.
That's best.
But for real though, when really thinking about this and observing the industry for years, we see it everywhere, and it's not just our equipment.
Right.
I see it with software, folks going in there and taking this attitude, which is appreciated because I do it, but this attitude of, you learn as you go. Your mistakes teach you.
Yeah, I'm a DIY guy.
Yeah,
and
I am. I'm a DIY person myself, and I do a lot of things learning as I go. However, what I've learned myself over the years from being such a DIY person is that if I would have not watched all the videos on how to lay tile and how to properly butter them and mix them and the timing, if I wouldn't have watched the videos and studied all that and dove right into it, I as I'm doing it, I'm like, I would have not have done it this way. Yeah. And I would have wasted time and money.
So two things. The fact that you said butter the tiles makes me think you did not watch any videos.
I did, just like these. I put these bricks up. And the trick with laying brick is you got to butter the brick the right thickness.
These are panels, folks. These are panels that are hot glued to the wall. But so obviously we're talking about training, and what we kind of want to do is draw the line between what you do as an entrepreneur and as an apparel decorator and other professions. So if you are if you are getting onto a plane, do you want your pilot to be the kind of a guy that just he knows how to drive?
Yeah, all right.
So, I can figure this out. I've watched the movies. I've played the simulators. I can do this. Do you want that for your pilot? Do you want your surgeon to have the operator's manual next to you, while he's doing surgery? I mean, you don't even want an electrician to come into your place and have YouTube up on his phone while he fixes your fuse box. Okay, that's not acceptable. Why do we think that becoming an entrepreneur is somehow less of a skill set? You know, one of the reasons that we came up with the Custom Apparel Startups podcast is that there are skills that you guys out there need to be trained on. You need to know. You need to be thinking about before you get in business and as you grow your business, just like any profession.
Yes.
You know, just like putting together furniture, just like laying tile, just like being a pilot. All these things are, honestly, they're just as important, because while if a pilot doesn't know what he's doing, of course there's a disaster. But if you get a big piece of equipment or a small piece of equipment and you don't know what you're doing, it's going to be a disaster equally as bad for your business and your personal life too.
Yeah, and it turns into what I had thought about it and why this is important, because we're not just going to talk about training on equipment and software, but we're also going to talk about training on entrepreneurship, and also about training your customers on how to do business with you.
Yes.
So these are all things we're going to cover, and they're so important. And the vision on why I want you to continue to listen to this podcast and say, because what we had thought is, are you going to want to listen to a podcast about, lecturing me on how to why I should train?
You should get training.
But this is why. And so envision this, because this is going to be true of your business that you have and your life experience, is you go to a restaurant and you walk inside, seems like a pretty good place, you've heard the food's good, and you sit there for maybe 2 minutes and nobody greets you. So you're standing there or sitting there kind of in the lobby area. People are walking around. Yeah. Nobody says anything to you.
I'm already upset. You're
already upset, right? And if it doesn't happen in like 15 seconds, people get bothered. Yeah. So now you sit there for a minute, 2 minutes.
Americans.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And so 2 minutes go by. Finally, somebody comes up. I'm so sorry. You immediately you are enraged.
Yes.
I wouldn't be, but plenty of people would be. Yeah, enraged, on fire. And now you scrutinize every single thing. So now you're looking at the glass. Oh, there's a spot on this.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at the server that comes up, and now look how long it took to get the drinks.
Right.
Oh, this cocktail, look how weak it is.
You start on the wrong foot. That's true.
You're on the wrong foot. Now your entire experience can be ruined, and you're going to be unforgiving of everything else beyond that. Right. Compared to if you walk in, as soon as you walk in, boom, hi, welcome, thanks for coming.
Everybody's friendly and
so
nice.
Happy. Here, have a seat. And then you come in, and then you get your appetizer, and it maybe it's cold, or maybe they forgot to put something on it. You're more likely to be forgiving.
You're in a good mood.
You're in a good mood.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about with training for you and your customers.
Yeah, it's that initial experience. It's you having a good initial experience and you being able to provide your customer the same.
Yeah, so if you have not purchased any equipment yet, and and you're listening to this researching, I want you to take this as a lesson to say, I'm not going to make the mistakes that others have by attempting to take a $30,000 piece of equipment or whatever it costs and break it the first day because I didn't pay attention how to use it.
Right.
And but also with your customers, you're going to train your customers on how to place orders with you, how your business operates, how to pick a good shirt.
Yeah.
It's all about success. So this is another podcast about being more successful.
We should have called it that, the podcast about being more successful.
Okay, sure. We can rename it and just
let's stick with episode 74.
Okay, so where do you want to start here?
Well, if we can, I'd like to start with the self-serving stuff for ColDesi and Coleman and Company, because I'll just give you some anecdotal evidence. And we did a survey in Custom Apparel Startups yesterday, and we got some pretty good response about. We let everybody know that we were working on a new topic about training, and for them to share any feedback of their experiences before and after. And what we got was really interesting. We did get a group of people that said, I think I learned more by making mistakes and trying to figure out the answers. But my favorite was, and the most popular answer, one of our customers typed this in: training opens the doorway, hard knocks reinforce learned lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
So,
all right.
So what I like about that is it starts with training. Because when we this is strictly anecdotally.
Okay.
In talking to our support technicians, getting ready for this, and that's, when I say support technicians, these guys are more than that. They talk about people's business all the time, and we're talking about direct-to-garment printers and the digital heat effect system. You see the samples on the wall back here. We're talking about embroidery machines and cutters. Everything that we do gets funneled into these tech support folks that do a great job, and all of them that I talked to said that about 80% of the issues that people have that stop their business cold, cause them to pick up the phone and call us and wait for an answer, is something to do with training. It's either they never took the training, they didn't understand something about the training, or it was just a training refresher because they hadn't been to training in 3 years, or was a new employee that had never gotten trained on the equipment. And the worst case scenario, and the ones that are always hit hardest for all of us, are the people that do, like we said in the beginning, they're the ones that will get a machine and never get trained.
Yeah.
And just destroy a DTG printer. Or they'll go through $500 worth of digital heat effects laser easy peel paper. Just trying to figure stuff out. And just getting angrier and angrier. And now, and there's no excuse for us. Because we offer, all of our products either offer some kind of free training. They offer some kind of free training, right? If everything from a cutter comes with training, all the way up to direct-to-garment printer, you get training. We have online training courses now that you can take after hours that are very comprehensive, and even have sections in most of them how to avoid these common mistakes. So there's no excuse for not taking training, but people don't.
Yeah.
And it costs them time and money and their business.
Yeah, and heartache and stress.
Yeah.
And it's not just about this equipment. It's everything that has to do with your business, being an entrepreneur. So if you decide to do your own financials, and you've got QuickBooks or FreshBooks or one of these software, they have some little training videos or a manual or something like that you can take to properly learn how to navigate the software. So often people don't do that.
True.
And now they're making mistakes in their finances.
Yeah.
Their small business associations and things like that will offer little classes, or they might have videos or books or whatever it might be that you can learn how to properly file your business for your state. The state will even just have probably poorly written, but an instruction manual directly from the state. And folks don't read that. They fill out the information incorrectly. They send it off to the state, and then it gets rejected because they didn't fill it out correctly. Right. So there is, I have some techie friends, and they have a saying.
He's my techie.
Yeah, way further out than me. And they have a saying. It's like RTM or the vulgar version RTFM. Yeah, I'll let you guys look that up if you choose to. Right. But basically, what it means is read the manual.
Okay.
Because what they find is that when most of the phone calls that they get have to do with just somebody who just didn't read the instructions, and I did some Google searching just to kind of further ingrain this because I found it really fascinating. So I jumped on Google for like a half hour. Okay. And I found a couple stories that I liked and I wanted to share. So one of them was Subaru. So Subaru of America, they had customers complaining that they didn't know how to operate their new vehicles. They had changed a lot of things in how the vehicles worked. Right. So customers traded in a Subaru, got a new one, couldn't figure out how to operate it. They changed the wipers and all this stuff.
And if you've never been in a Subaru, they are slightly different than anything else you've sat inside. Yeah. So it's not an intuitive kind of arrangement if you're not used to it.
Yeah, and so it's slightly different. Yeah. And what they found was so this is a quote that I saw here. It says, "We scratched our heads trying to figure out why. As we further explored why, we realized it wasn't so much that things didn't work, but customers didn't know how to work them." Yeah. In fact, it turned out that 1 out of 5 calls to the Subaru call center involved a question that was answered right in the owner's manual. So 20% of the calls were just, how do I turn on the blinkers? I can't figure it out. Right. And they came up with a solution to help, put that better in front of people's faces. And another one I saw that was interesting that said, it was Gadget Helpline was a company, and they're a tech support, computer type of a helpline. And they found that 64% of men and 24% of women that were calling for tech support had never read any of the instructions or manual.
Right.
So, averaging that close to half. Half the people don't even look at the instructions.
Yeah.
So it's you have to humble yourself, I think, to actually do it.
Right.
And also, don't get caught up in being just the so much learn as you go, because this is commercial equipment and commercial software you're buying. You can break it.
Yeah. And I mean, I can look in the CAS group right now on Facebook, and I can find a dozen posts for people that are asking, very simple questions about equipment. And the first question that everyone that's been there for a while will ask those people is, have you been to training yet? Because all those questions are answered in training. And, going online and getting, so that's another strategy that people use that don't want to go to training.
Yes.
Is they'll run into a situation during a job, their first or second job, and then they'll go online anywhere. And they'll type in the question, I just made a mistake on my vinyl, how do I remove it? Or I just bleached my DTG shirt, with black in it. Why did it do this? Or I just printed something, I just applied digital heat effects transfers onto the spandex thing that I'm going to wrap around the balloon. And all of those things would have been covered in training if you would have been taking it. So I think one good thing is to make this as painful as possible for the people listening.
Okay, all right, you're doing well.
And so here's the pain that I want to give you because we hear this. The pain is that you're going to spend $7,000 or $10,000 on a digital heat effect system, which is a terrific piece of equipment. It includes a white toner printer. You can make transfers that you can apply to polyesters and to cottons, a light and dark fabric. You can apply it to hard goods. And the following things typically happen. Even though there is free online training that you can take anytime you want, people will get this, look at it, they'll have seen the demonstration videos, and of course we know what we're doing.
Yes.
And we've done it 1,000 times on this shirt.
And we've been trained.
With this design, right? So and they'll do that, and we even give you paper to use, so you can make a few mistakes while you get trained up. But no, they'll get their printer on a Thursday. They won't do the training or schedule training. And then by Saturday, they're on an internet group somewhere, and they're complaining because it doesn't work, because they can't get it right, because they can't get the peel correctly, the heat press isn't right, the paper doesn't work. They've got a job that they had to do that they pre-sold before they got their printer, and they were expecting to be able to use it the day after they got it without training. And by Monday morning, even though we've never heard from them before, since they got their printer, they're already angry.
They're on fire.
They're on fire because, why? Because, honestly, they didn't take the training. So what happened? So they wasted 3 or 4 days. They wasted $50, $75 worth of supplies. They may have lost their first customer.
Yeah.
And their best customer. Or they got a job out and they didn't do something properly, so the prints don't wash well. They didn't pick the right shirt. So all of these things that you have to be trained on. You can't get your idea out into the world in exchange for money unless you know how to accomplish the steps.
Yeah, you've got to know what you're doing. And so often, seeing this from a bird's eye view, looking down, we see oftentimes the same things come up. Somebody will say, this vinyl washed off my shirt.
Right.
Okay. I can tell you it's probably just because of temperature or pressure on your heat press. You didn't press it down hard enough, or you didn't heat it up enough.
Yes.
And then we ask this question, and they turn around and they say, oh yeah, I turned up the pressure. It's good now. Well, the instructions are in the box.
Right.
There's a video on how to do it.
Yeah.
However, folks miss this, and I don't want people to miss it. And it also has to do with software that we don't even sell, for example.
Yes.
Like a graphic software.
Yes.
Folks will get Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW or something like that.
Which is hard.
To learn. You can spend $100,000 getting a degree in how to use these, and then the folks that come out of school will say, I still don't know how to do everything in it.
Yeah.
They're so complex and they involve so much.
Right.
That people almost they only need to learn how to use portions of it.
I just want to say right now that I would have to get a really good scholarship to go after $100,000 degree. I'm just going to say that.
I mean, I am not trained in that. However, I know enough to be dangerous. I know enough to frustrate myself and say, I can't get this to work.
Well, and that's a good example, because we see that in the groups as well. Is somebody, they're asking what graphic software they should buy to accomplish this, and then the next question a couple of weeks later is invariably, how do I use this?
Yeah.
Where do you get trained? What do I do next? Or they'll come from a publishing background, so maybe they're really good at doing CorelDRAW for magazine covers.
Yeah.
Or maybe they design comics, or maybe they use Illustrator for something completely different. But when it comes to t-shirts, it's a different animal. So it's not just getting trained, just because you know how to run a laser printer, just because you know how to run an inkjet printer for vinyl or commercial purposes, does not mean that you know everything that you need to run a direct-to-garment t-shirt printer properly. Just because you can run a color laser printer does not mean that you know how to make a t-shirt with a white toner printer. There are levels of skill and specificity that are really important.
Yeah, and I think when you are going to invest in new software, whether it's graphic software or FreshBooks or QuickBooks, or whatever it is, no matter what it is, if you're going to buy a new camera for what you're going to be, because you do a lot of video for your business, if you're going to get whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, one of the first decisions you should do to make it is taking a look at how am I going to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
Make that decision first.
Right.
Or get that knowledge first before you make the decision is what I meant to say. And so when you look at this, say, okay, well, what should I get? FreshBooks or should I get QuickBooks? And you go and ask online, and all that matters is to anybody is what they already own. Right?
Yeah, that's really it.
So if somebody owns Corel, they're going to tell you to buy Corel.
I know we talked about this in another podcast, but there's that tendency to want to justify your own past decisions. What embroidery machine is the best one on the market? It's the one that I bought.
Yeah, the one that
it's always the one that I bought.
So that question's moot.
Yeah.
And also, just because 6 people answered and 3 of them said one and 3 of them said the other, it's such a small group of people anyway. Yeah. That answer doesn't matter. What matters really is what software can I buy? How am I going to learn how to use it? Do they teach it in a method that I'm comfortable with? Right. Is there a local training class at my community college I can take because that's what I like to do?
Yep.
Is there a really good online course I can pay for because that's my preference?
Yes.
Are there a lot of YouTube videos that show that the software has a great user manual and you like user manuals? Learn all of that first, because learning how to use something is the most important tool you can have, and it's the biggest mistake you're going to make, because when you don't know how to use something, it immediately sucks.
Yeah, so we already talked about the bad stuff, and the bad stuff can be that it can be equipment related, it can be software related, like these poor folks that come onto the group and say, I've just spent the past 4.5 hours trying to figure out how to remove this blue background from a JPEG file in CorelDRAW.
Yeah, you would have been...
If you would have been trained, that's like 3 seconds.
And if you go on and you take a CorelDRAW training course, there are courses that are only like 8 hours long, 4 hours long anyway to learn the basics. So that 4 hours you spent trying to tackle one task and never completed it, you could have gone through half of a training course or a full training course. So you can spend more time. And like that one comment you had read where someone said about training, it starts with the training, but then the experience is where it kicks in.
Absolutely true.
That's what I agree, is that the purpose of training on anything, the reason why training programs are often developed, are not only to reduce the number of support call-ins, and I'm not talking about our business, I'm talking about everything.
Right.
But it's also because it's important to learn and do things in a certain order.
Okay.
So in school, they teach you basic math, then algebra or pre-algebra, then maybe geometry and trigonometry, and then calculus.
Right.
And then after you learn calculus, then maybe you'll learn organic chemistry. At that point in time.
Right.
You can't jump into calculus and just say without being able to do basic math. And it's true of apparel decorating. If you learn the printer, say a direct-to-garment printer, and you pre-treat the shirts before you print them. And if you don't know what that means, go to dtgprintermachine.com and you can watch videos. But you treat the shirt before you print it. If you learned a printer and you're a master of it already, but you never learned how to pre-treat, none of your shirts are going to come out good.
Right. Yeah. Nothing you do is going to be right.
Yes, and it's all in order on purpose. So, for one, it starts often with learning how to properly set up a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And having instructions on there that say, don't do this yet. Because if you do this first, you have a possibility of damaging your equipment or whatever it might be.
So let's put the shoe on the other foot, and let's imagine the experience when you get a piece of equipment. You're starting a new business, and you take the time and you get trained properly, and you read the manual, and you're not trying to print a job the day you get the printer. You're making sure that your customer is going to have the best experience. You are perfectly comfortable with the equipment after the training, which, by the way, the other self-serving part, and I think I'm in charge of self-serving.
Okay, good.
The other self-serving part is that if you do this, you'll have you'll have much fewer support calls.
Yeah.
You won't be calling because my embroidery machine, I hit a hoop, or I don't understand why this stitch isn't stitching out right, or what kind of a backing I do for this. And for all of the ColDesi and Coleman and Company products, you can take the training as many times as you'd like. So, you can come back, you can stick that USB course in if you get training videos with it. You can go online and take the self-paced training classes as often as you want to. So if you don't get it the first time, you can do that again. And a couple things. First of all, when that happens, when you take your training, you're comfortable with your equipment, and you're successful right out of the gate, from our perspective, what happens is that you're happy with the equipment and you're happy with us. That's the first thing. So we get great reviews. Mm-hmm. The second thing is that you are more successful. You're happy with us. You're more successful. So if you start off with an embroidery machine and you're doing well and you got trained up and you know how to use the equipment and the software, when you want to do bling, what are you going to do? You're going to call us. When you want to add, you want to go in the promotional products business, you want to do UV, you're going to call ColDesi because you've had all of these good experiences that we provide to everyone if you only take advantage of it, as opposed to the reverse.
Yes, and I wrote down a few things here that I wanted to break down. Then I want to talk a little bit about training customers, because I think that's important.
That's where you're going to make more money.
That's where you're going to make more money, absolutely. So one thing, I kind of put just 4 key points here. Mark added a 5th one if he wants to share it.
Yes.
But one is, these are the dangers if you're thinking about getting new equipment, and even if you own one piece and you're investing in your second or your third or your fourth piece of equipment for your business, I want you to consider this for the future. For one, just because it didn't happen the first time does not mean that you won't, the first machine I got, I learned on my own.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you won't make mistakes a second time.
Yes.
So it's okay to kind of go back and rethink your thoughts. But one is, you can literally break your machine the first hour you have it. Yes. This doesn't matter if you buy a tractor or a direct-to-garment printer. If you buy something commercial, chances are you're not going to break a toaster the first time you get it, because a toaster is designed that anybody can use it. It's kind of got that design. But when you buy something that's commercial, like a commercial chainsaw or a tractor or a DTG printer.
I'm sorry, I can't get my mind off how I would use a tractor. I live in a townhouse.
Yeah, well,
in town. I'm just thinking, there's a tractor parked in my driveway. Why is it there? I have no idea.
You told me you got this little backyard.
But the training.
But but the point is, anytime something is for commercial use, there's also an inherent danger involved that the equipment is breakable.
Yeah.
Because it's a commercial type of a grade of equipment. And that's why certain chemicals for cleaning a household are not sold at Walmart.
Yeah.
Even though you can buy them from a commercial cleaning company, it's because if you don't
use it right,
if you don't wear gloves with this, you will actually burn your hands.
And if a piece of commercial equipment does break or go bad or have issues, it's normally pretty expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive to fix compared to if you just blow a tire on your car.
Yes.
So the second thing is it typically takes you more time to learn on your own.
Right.
Meaning in the amount of hours spent, because you spend frustration, you stop, you pause, you have to start over, just like building the furniture.
Yeah.
The third thing I wrote is that it will cost you money because of the lost time, because you could mess something up that you were preparing for a customer.
Yeah.
You can't deliver an order on time, or you tell somebody no because you're still frustratingly trying to go through how to learn your equipment or software or whatever it might be. And this could be true of, if we're just talking about like the QuickBooks type of software. If you don't learn how to use it, then it could cost you money because you do your taxes wrong.
Yeah.
And then the last one is more, I don't know, existential, larger to think about. But you're more likely to give up.
Yeah.
Folks who don't go to training on anything, whatever it might be. So we had a really, really nice camera for here.
Yes.
And you know this story.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
And we had somebody who really never wanted to use this camera. It's a beautiful camera. It's a Canon HD. It's got a bunch of letters and numbers. It was not cheap.
Right.
And it's got a big, huge lens. And the argument was that the phone took just as good a video as this camera.
Right.
And it's like, well, no, you never learned how to use the camera.
Right.
So the first few times you used it, you got frustrated. You never got the video right. You wasted all of this time shooting video, and then you pull it out and the lighting is all messed up, or the audio, there was no audio, because you never read the instructions, watched the video, learned how to use it. Took the time. And now there is a $600 camera, or whatever it was. I don't remember how much it was. $1,100. Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
So whatever. An expensive camera sitting there doing nothing, and a mobile phone is being used to record a piece of video.
Yeah.
When all it took was, and when somebody else picked it up, took a couple hours, and let me figure out. And then they change the audio, you do this and this. To change the video settings, you do this, this, and this. And then boom, you've got a whole world of things open.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to give up because you think that it's not as good, and really or it doesn't work.
Yeah, and honestly, if this is you probably did not make it to episode 74 of our podcast. You probably didn't make it. But the way this translates in the custom apparel world often is somebody that is, working full time or most of the time, and they start a custom T-shirt business on the side. Maybe they were doing something before with a piece of consumer equipment like a sewing machine or a Cricut cutter or something like that, and they finally got a piece of commercial equipment. So they have limited time in the evenings to use it, and they never bother to take training on it because they kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? They already know. And so they'll try for 30 minutes at a time or an hour at a time, whenever they have time, and it never happens. And sometimes the equipment will be blamed, but other times their dream will just peter out.
Yeah.
And that really is the most unfortunate thing, is because somebody doesn't take the time to learn and train up front, they just might lose the steam, lose the momentum that caused them to start a business in the first place.
Yeah.
And that would be the biggest crime.
Yeah, and you lose momentum.
Yeah.
That's really it. So, but one thing to go further on why training is important is about training customers.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you can allow your customers to go rogue and do what they want, or you can get them into your system. When they're in your system, they're more likely to be successful.
Yeah.
So, at Coleman & Company, for example, we have an online store, and we have a phone number, a hotline you can call.
Yep.
Those are the preferred methods for ordering something. Either call it in or order it online.
Mm-hmm.
If you order it online, it kind of goes through the system efficiently. If you call in, then our folks on the phone will input it into the system.
Right.
However, we still have some customers that will say like email us an invoice, where it's like something that needs to be printed out and then looked at, and they're not even using our part numbers. They're just using a description that's wrong, and we have to call up, and then they're upset, and we couldn't reach them that day.
They'll send an email, hey, I need 12 spools of blue thread.
And they send it to somebody who's out sick.
Yeah.
So it's important that when we talk to our customers, we say, hey, either call in or go online and order. Yeah. And what we're doing is we're training our customers to order in the way that's going to be best for them. If they email it in and someone's on vacation, the order's not going to get placed.
Right.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or if they email it in, maybe the email doesn't get looked at for an hour and they miss the cutoff time.
Right.
Or if they would have ordered it online. So we try to train our customers, hey, to get the best experience from us, do one of these two things.
Right.
You need to do the same thing with your customers. If they are going to text you, hey, give me 4 more of those shirts.
Yeah.
Well, was that the proper way to communicate to you? Now, you might be just happy to take the money.
Yes.
But you should say, hey, I'm really happy to do that for you. Do me a favor, whatever your system is. On my website, there's the order form. Here's the link. Go there and fill it out so I don't make a mistake. Or email it to me.
Right.
Or I'm going to email you this form, fill it out, and send it back to me. However it might be, whatever your system is.
Right. So that's one training piece.
Yes.
Just like, and I'm going to keep going back to this self-service part.
Okay.
So we train our customers on how to use our tech support department. You can call the 800 number, or you can fill out a support request, or you can email support@ColDesi.com. Okay. If you don't do that, if you call in, if you email a tech support person directly because they happen to give you their email, or if you email your salesperson, things are not going to happen as efficiently. So we don't train our customers to do that necessarily for us. We train them to do that so you will get the best result. So when you're talking to your customers, if it's order processing, what you're really trying to do is not make your life easier, although you will. You're trying to make sure that you get all their orders right. And that you get them on time so they'll have the best experience.
Yeah, because if they text you and they say, I want 4 more of those shirts, you might think, oh yeah, the last order
right.
I did pink shirts for them with this logo on it, and they were all larges. They just want 4 more of those.
Yeah.
So you make 4 more pink large shirts.
Oh no, I didn't mean the pink ones or the large ones.
No, I meant the other. So for one, there could just be little miscommunications.
Right.
Others, there's forgetting. Like they didn't think, sizes.
Right.
So you might assume they're all larges.
Right.
And then it turns out that the customer did, I didn't even want,
then you've got 2
larges and 2
extra larges. You've got 5
larges.
emails and 3 texts.
Yeah, so it's important. That's why like online ordering forms or a system, and training your customers to go into a system means you never forget something.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the other side of that, and this is kind of the positive revenue side, is if you listen to our podcast on upselling, right? One of the ways that you upsell is actually to train your customers. So if you get the opportunity to talk to your customers on the phone or in person at a shop or an event, it's important to talk to them about the things that you have as an advantage, which is, it's the quality of the shirt. Say, look, this is what most people provide, but for an extra $1.50 or $2 a shirt more, look at the difference. Look at this higher quality. It's a heavier weight shirt, or it's more breathable, or it's a slightly newer style. I think you'll really like. What you're really doing is you're training them to think differently about the garment. So now when they go to everybody else, they're looking at what this.
Well, what shirt's it going on?
What shirts is going on? Is it going on the cheapest $3 shirt that I could find, or a nice Bella canvas, or something like that? So that's important. If you are training them on the value of an alternative placement. So, or on wash instructions, or on bundling deals, so let's get a cap with your shirt. So you're training them every time to look at the quality, to find out what else that you should be getting at the same time. A more educated consumer is going to benefit you guys financially, just like it benefits ColDesi and Coleman & Co.
Yeah, and it gets me thinking that you're training them to treat you as their consultant.
Yeah.
In the end, on the highest level, what you're doing is you're training your customers to follow your lead. because you're the apparel expert.
Yeah.
All they know is that they want to order some hats or some shirts.
Right.
And this is, this flows all the way down to equipment, and all the way up to the end user. But it's not just a hat. It's not just a shirt. There are thousands of styles of shirts and of hats. There's tons of ways to decorate them, and it's really important that you become this consultative approach to your customers, where you say, okay, well, what's the shirt going to be used for? Why do you want it? I know the budget is important to you. Why is that? Yeah. Oh, it's because it's for a charity run, and then afterwards the shirts are just going to be, people can use them for whatever they want. Yeah. Oh, okay. So, it's for that. Or is it shirts that, no. These are shirts for my technicians, IT technicians, that are going to be going out to visit attorneys and doctors in their offices to repair their computers. Right. Well, you definitely don't want the cheapest shirt. Yeah. You want to look like the classy folks that come in.
Yeah, and it's the answer. It's one of the answers to, you know what? I can buy a custom shirt from the screen printer down the street for $8 a piece. And your response can be, you know what? Yes, you can. Let me tell you why you don't want to. Yeah. Let me train you on why you don't want to. We do that all the time in 2 stories. We do that all the time on custom apparel startups. First of all, or on our Digital Heat FX group. First of all, we'll get someone that says, I bought X from someone else, and I really need to know how to heat press this. Yeah. Well, you didn't get any training with that. That's why you're struggling. That's why you're going to waste paper. It's the $8 shirt. It's a screen printer down the street. We run into that with color printers all the time. The Digital Heat FX system it's a professional system. You're going to spend, if you do it right, you're going to spend $8 to $10 grand on it. Well, you can get a sublimation printer for $300 or $400 bucks. Really cheap. So we get that all the time. Why is this unit so expensive? Versus this one. It says, well, let me train you on what the differences are. Let me make you better informed. And you know what? When you buy it from us, when you buy that printer, you're going to get a box and you're going to get a piece of paper and an instruction manual. When you buy our printer, you're going to get an online training class and free tech support and a year of extra support. You're going to get all these other things with it. Is it valuable to you? And that's the same approach you need to take with your customers. And it's all based around making sure that you get trained and that you train your customers.
So that's how you turn around and sell more. Yeah. And you upsell is by helping your customers be trained to come to you to learn. Yeah. Rather than, they're not shopping for just the price. They're not shopping for just I just need shirts made. Right. You have to get them out of that mindset and get them into the mindset of, I need to get the right shirts for what my business is, for what I need, for what I'm going to do. I need to decorate them the right way. Is embroidery the right solution for them? Is screen printing the right solution for them? Is it whatever it might be? And then go deeper into that and ask them the questions and say, okay, so you said you can get t-shirts for $8. Mine are $15. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me look at the scenario for you. How many you're ordering? Okay, you're going to order, 60 shirts. Okay, very good then. Are you ever going to need to reorder these? Is there a possibility you're going to need to order small quantities in the future? Right. Well, yeah, I probably will need to do that. Okay. And would you prefer to be able to have multiple colors in this design? So you start talking to them about what your equipment can do. Right. And maybe in the end the answer is no. Okay. Right. Okay. Well, then that's not then this is the right solution for you, or that's the right solution for you. Maybe the answer is, well, actually, after thinking about all of that, how I still, your solution is better for me. Great. And why? Because I didn't think about that I needed a better quality shirt. I didn't think about when I need to reorder shirts in the future. So, and then also they're really just going to appreciate the fact that you did help to train them on understanding custom apparel.
And I'm sure you can think of examples of this in your kind of consumer life. We went to purchase a refrigerator recently. And we're a frugal family. So we found a cheap fridge online, and we had some delivery problems, and we're looking at another one. So we actually went to a local home improvement store yesterday.
Okay.
And we ran into an actual salesperson.
Okay.
And so we were looking at the inexpensive model, and we could see it was kind of cheap, and we weren't really turned on by it. And then he says, well, come over here and look at this one. And what were the differences? He explained all the differences in it. He told us, why this was this way and what the better warranty was. And look, if these adjustable shelves are important. Do you use a big water jug or anything like that? Do you need water in the fridge? Just like took us through this whole thing. And it was worth an extra $100 to spend, on something which is, that was a 15 or 20% bump in what we were spending.
Yeah.
Just because somebody trained us on what to look for and what the differences were.
Yeah, and it's more times than less. It's not, I'm really disappointed that we spent the extra money on this good microphone,
Right.
More times than less, people are disappointed because they didn't buy enough. They didn't buy good enough. And that happens in the apparel industry all the time. As folks, they go buy the cheapest shirts that they can find because that's kind of the mindset that they think they should have. And then they're dissatisfied because they shrunk or they didn't wash well, or they're uncomfortable, or they don't fit nice.
I got, I'm starting a t-shirt business with heat transfer vinyl, and I bought a Cricut. I got an order for 35 shirts. And I'm going to get out of this business because it took way too long for the money I made.
I spent all Saturday and throughout the night till 3 a.m. making 40 shirts.
Yes.
There's no way I want to do this.
I bought a used direct-to-garment printer from 1987.
Cool.
And it gobbles ink and the print head's busted, and this direct-to-garment thing just doesn't work.
Yeah, so there's a right way to get into things. So all in all, I think we've covered what this topic is.
Yeah. So
and
training on what you buy and training on what you sell.
Yeah, and it's just important. And remember, it's not just about what we do. It's about everything in your business. So if you are going to be getting into online advertising, make sure that you learn how to do it properly.
Find a training class before you spend that $100
Find a training class or watch videos or read the manual, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and that, it goes with everything. And I think that this lesson is, if you take this out of your entrepreneur life and into your personal life, it's going to make you happier too.
Yes.
But we find that customers who go through training, customers of ours, business owners who train their customers, lead happier businesses, more successful businesses. They enjoy doing it more, and we know them longer. They don't give up.
Right.
And when we talk to our really experienced customers about, hey, let me ask you a question. How do you take orders? How do you do this? They are very strict on how they do things.
Yeah.
No, I tell my customers this is the way that we have to do it, and it's and the same thing we said.
For them.
It's for them.
Yeah.
It's for me, but it's also for them.
Yeah.
Because in the end, if you're making t-shirts for somebody and it's for an event that's happening on Saturday, if the shirts don't get delivered that day, in the end, they are the saddest.
Yeah.
You'll be sad because you upset a customer and you didn't make money and all that. But in the end, you're going to have your next customer come up, soon. But for them, their event isn't as good as it was.
Yeah.
Their charity event didn't go off. They didn't have the shirts that they needed for the company picture.
So
all that stuff.
So my last couple of commercials before we close out.
All right.
My last couple of commercials are, I want to remind everybody that if you buy a new direct-to-garment printer, a new embroidery machine, a rhinestone machine, a Spangle machine, a Spangle Elite, if you get a cutter system from us, if you buy a white toner transfer printer from us, if you buy a piece of equipment from us, from ColDesi and Coleman & Company, there is some free training involved. If you don't take it, and it costs you money and costs you time, that's on you. We'll do our best to make sure that you're informed and that you have that available. And if you're out there shopping for equipment, and you're looking at the difference between Bob's fax and copy machine online retailer to buy a piece of equipment from, or you're looking at buying from somebody like ColDesi and Coleman & Company or any other value-added distributor, and there's some good ones out there, that, pay attention to that component, because you'll save more money in training and in free training and in good support than you will those few dollars when you buy your initial piece of equipment. And the other thing that I'll say is, because of all this, our motivation in starting the CAS podcast was training on small business.
Yeah.
It's training on marketing that you're not going to find anywhere else. Then we're doing a couple of things. For our customers that have purchased our equipment used on the secondhand market from someone else, we are implementing a paid training program and warranty program that we've never had before, that you're going to love it. It's going to be self-paced training. It's going to be very reasonably priced, and you're going to want to do it if you buy a used Avance or a used DTG printer or something like that. You'll be much better off. And we're also going to have some courses on the customapparelstartups.com site about business and software training. So you're gonna, we're about to relaunch the how to get into the t-shirt business course, which has a lot of marketing training on it.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for some graphic software training as well, which we're very excited about. There's all kinds of ways that you're going to be able to save money with both of those programs.
Yeah, and the reason we do all of that and we spend the effort on all of that is because the longer that we're in business and the more customers we deal with, the more we realize that help is needed.
Yeah.
And we want you to get the best help we can. And we want you to have that same type of philosophy with your customers.
Yeah.
And overall, it's going to make for a better experience for you, better experience for your customers, and you are going to be more successful than the shop down the street that doesn't do it right. And again, that doesn't matter if it's operating their equipment correctly or doing their taxes correctly.
Right.
Because if they're doing their taxes bad, they're going to go out of business too.
Right.
So it's all of that together. It's everything encompassing in your business, from equipment to software to running your business.
Yes.
Learn how to do things properly and you are more likely to be successful. I think that's just the bottom line.
It is. And also, taxes are on Mark Vila's mind because it's April 18th.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, thanks for paying attention again, everyone. This has been Mark Stevenson from ColDesi.
And Mark Vila from Coleman & Company.
You guys have a good business.